Welcome back to Views with Hughes, your gender-free news. This is Jerome Hughes. Now let's go ahead and get right into it. So today we're going to dive deep into Rings of Power Season 2 from Amazon and explore why Rings of Power Season 1 has been such a disaster, both critically and in terms of viewership. So buckle up because, well, this is going to be a thorough examination. Now, before we begin, be sure to smash the like button and hit the subscribe button and click the bell notification. So let's start with the numbers, okay? Only 37% of the viewers finished Rings of Power Season 1. That's a staggering figure right there. Forbes writer Paul Tassi highlighted this in a statistic in a recent headline, and it's a huge red flag for Amazon. To put it bluntly, out of everyone who started episode 1, just a third managed to stick it out to the end. And this isn't a small issue, it's a monumental failure. Now, you might wonder, why is this so significant? When a show has such a high dropout rate, it means a large portion of the audience found Rings of Power to be unengaging or frustrating, that they decided that Rings of Power wasn't worth their time, especially critical for a show that Amazon invested so heavily in. You know, they poured millions into making Rings of Power Season 1, and they're doing the same for Rings of Power Season 2, one of the most expensive TV shows ever made, only to see a massive chunk of viewers not even make it through Rings of Power Season 1. And it's also comical to think about it. Of that 37%, probably only about 2% are YouTubers making fun of Rings of Power. And then there's also another 5% who are likely people who watch those YouTube videos to see if the criticisms are valid. So in reality, only about 30% of the viewers might have genuinely been invested in or enjoyed Rings of Power. Now, that's not exactly a ringing endorsement, but I'm particularly interested in to see what happens with Rings of Power Season 2. How many of those 37% will return for Rings of Power Season 2? Now, will Rings of Power Season 2 be able to recapture its audience, or will it continue to falter? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below. But these are questions that we'll have to determine if Rings of Power Season 2 can recover from its disastrous Rings of Power Season 1. But looking back, it's funny how Rings of Power Season 2 creators boasted about the initial viewership numbers of Rings of Power Season 1. They were practically throwing a victory party, claiming that episodes 1 and 2 of Rings of Power Season 1 had attracted a huge audience. Same creators of Rings of Power Season 2 were so proud of these numbers, but when you dig deeper, you realize it wasn't a huge hit that they claimed it was. Like I said, only 37% of viewers stuck around for Rings of Power Season 1, which really puts a damper on the victory lap. Now, let's also talk about the trailer for Rings of Power Season 2 that dropped on August 14th. View count of the Rings of Power Season 2 trailer is at least over 3 million, but the engagement is abysmal. There are only 23,000 likes compared to, 11,000 dislikes of the trailer for the Rings of Power Season 2, and it's almost as if nobody cares about the Rings of Power Season 2 at all. And when I say nobody cares, I mean it both a positive and a negative way. But it's a clear lack of enthusiasm for Rings of Power Season 2. And actually thinking about it, this whole thing with Rings of Power Season 2 is quite abysmal if you ask me, because of the simple fact that, the buzz around it is big, but it's also negative, okay? And the crazy thing about it, like, only few people out there, the fewest of the few people have, interest in Rings of Power Season 2. But at the time of this recording, it's now over 5 million views and stuff. And of course, the recent release of the trailer, the second trailer of Rings of Power Season 2 trailer, the dislikes ratio is closing in at 17,000 compared to 29,000 upvotes, okay? But compare this buzz to the buzz surrounding Snow White trailer. Now, this trailer, which is only a few days old, has already racked up over 5 million views. The interaction is much higher, with 651,000 dislikes and 67,000 likes. And it's clear that people are talking about that, even if the conversation is mostly negative. But there's 27,000 comments from that trailer, which indicates that people are at least somewhat engaged with it. But in contrast with Rings of Power Season 2, this is barely getting any comments or likes, and ratings of Rings of Power Season 2 trailer not even on the trending list. The lack of engagement for Rings of Power Season 2 is actually telling. Even if people are expressing negative opinions of Rings of Power Season 2, it's a sign that they're still paying attention. With Rings of Power Season 2, the indifference is almost worse than the outright dislike. Okay? Now, here's something that really caught my attention about Rings of Power Season 2. Amazon started falsely copyrighted claiming transformative trailer reactions. Now, they didn't go do this with the previous season of Rings of Power Season 1, but now they're cracking down on videos that react to their trailers of Rings of Power Season 2. This is a tactic that actually stifles criticism for Rings of Power Season 2, but now it seems Amazon is using their resources to silence dissent against Rings of Power Season 2. Now, Jonathan from over on exploringtolkien.com recently experienced this firsthand with The One Ring. He got hit with a copyright claim on a video posted about Rings of Power Season 2. And it's also clear that Amazon is trying to avoid negative attention for Rings of Power Season 2 and manage their public image. Now, they're using their power to suppress criticism against Rings of Power Season 2, which is frustrating for those who want to provide honest feedback. But the fact of the matter is Amazon is resorting to these tactics to protect Rings of Power Season 2 is a sign of their desperation. Now, they spent an astronomical amount on Rings of Power and is not delivering the returns that they were hoping for. Now, the same will happen for Rings of Power Season 2. Rings of Power is one of the most expensive shows ever made. And you know what? Despite the massive budget, it's turning out to be one of the worst. All right. Same thing expected for like Rings of Power Season 2. It's a classic case of throwing money at a project and hoping for the best, only to end up with a big failure. Okay, some people even compare this to Godzilla -1. That film was made on a shoestring budget of $10 million. I thought it was $4 million, to be honest with you, but turned out to be one of the best movies of the year. And it shows that big budgets doesn't really guarantee quality. Okay, Rings of Power Season 2 is a prime example of this, and they spent a fortune on it. Same thing for Season 1, and it's one of the worst shows out there. And let's not forget, you know, Song of Freedom. They had like a $4 million budget, and you know, it amassed to like even more millions, to the point where it actually broke even, okay, despite taking in a low amount of money. But Amazon's approach to handling criticism over Rings of Power Season 2 by copyright claiming is just another example of their desperation. Now, Amazon's trying to silence voices that are critical of Rings of Power Season 2, and it's a tactic that reflects their fear of further damage. You see, Warner Brothers has done similar things, and it's clear that both companies are struggling with massive debt. You know, they're afraid that anything that could hurt their bottom line, which is why they're so aggressive in suppressing negative feedback. All right. It's also worth noting that the reaction to the memes about Rings of Power Season 2, the ones making fun of the show, like Sauron's wig and Master of Disguise, are, well, they're actually funny if you ask me, and it indicates how Rings of Power Season 2 is being perceived. And I expect Rings of Power Season 2 to be roasted even harder as more people weigh in. And I think Amazon is aware of this. Now, Amazon's trying to manage the fallout from Rings of Power Season 2, but clearly they're not successful with it. Now, there's also talk about turning Rings of Power Season 2 into a rom-com for the Google community, which is completely out of line with what Lord of the Rings is supposed to be. Now, we already have shows like Game of Thrones for that kind of content, and Lord of the Rings is just a fantasy epic with its own identity, and it shouldn't be diluted with unnecessary romantic subplots, especially with Rings of Power Season 2. And it's clear that Amazon doesn't understand the franchise, and it shows in their approach with Rings of Power Season 2. All right, so that's the state of things for Rings of Power Season 2. You know, Rings of Power always struggle with viewership, engagement, and critical reception. You know, Amazon attempted to control the narrative for Rings of Power Season 2 by copyright claiming and suppressing criticism are signs of their desperation. I guarantee you this is Jennifer Salke's, you know, idea. But Amazon spent a lot of money on a project like Rings of Power. It's even Rings of Power Season 2 that's not delivering, and it's clear that they're trying to salvage what they can. Okay, so as usual, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. Do you think that Rings of Power Season 2 can recover, or is it actually doomed to fail? Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts you might have this particular topic. If you enjoy what I shared in this video, go ahead and smash the like button, share far wide across social media. Also, if you made it this far in the video, comment below your favorite Lord of the Rings character. All right. So hope to see you all next time. Be sure to smash the like button, share far wide across social media, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so that way, and click the bell notification so that way you're notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.